You've stepped into the shower thousands of times in your life, and it has always felt simple, familiar, and comforting. But something changes quietly after 60. The body doesn't adapt to heat, cold air, or sudden movements the way it once did. Arteries stiffen, the heart responds more slowly, and the brain becomes far more sensitive to even tiny drops in oxygen. Drops you can't feel, but your brain certainly can. That's why so many older adults go to bed feeling perfectly normal, then wake up unable to speak clearly, unable to lift an arm, or unable to keep their balance. It isn't always aging, it isn't always the heart, and it isn't bad luck. For many seniors, the chain reaction actually begins the night before, inside the shower, during a routine that seems harmless. Warm water, chilly air, dehydration, posture, rushing, stress. All of these can collide and quietly trigger pressure swings inside your blood vessels. A small clot can begin forming without warning, and that clot can rise to the brain during the early morning window between 2 and 6 a.m., the hours when most strokes occur in older adults across the United States. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why this happens, how it starts, and the simple adjustments that protect your brain every single night. My goal is for you to walk away with confidence, knowing exactly what to change, what to avoid, and what truly matters for your long-term independence. Before we move forward, I'd be grateful if you tapped subscribe so these senior health tips reach you whenever you need guidance the most. And if you feel ready to understand these 7 overlooked shower habits, type the number 9 in the comments. If you'd like anything explained more clearly or improved, simply comment. Your feedback truly helps me serve you better. Now, allow me to walk with you, gently and clearly, through each step. 1. Showering while stressed or emotionally upset. When your body feels tight like a stretched wire, a single shower taken at the wrong moment can create dangerous swings in blood pressure. Stress is not just an emotional state. It changes the way your heart and blood vessels behave. When you feel upset, anxious, or overwhelmed, your body releases a surge of adrenaline. That surge narrows your blood vessels, raises your heart rate, and forces your circulation into a tense, reactive pattern. For younger adults, this shift is uncomfortable but manageable. After 60, however, it becomes a much more delicate situation. When you step into warm water, while your system is already under stress, your blood vessels suddenly widen. This quick shift from tight to open creates an abrupt pressure change. A small shock your arteries may no longer handle smoothly. These swings irritate the inner lining of your vessels, prompting platelets to gather and stick. And once platelets begin clustering, the early stages of a nighttime clot are quietly set in motion. Before I share a real example, I want to reassure you that understanding this does not mean you must fear your shower. It simply means timing matters more now than it once did. A recent case from my clinic illustrates this clearly. One gentleman, Richard, age 71 from Arizona, showered right after a heated argument with a family member. He felt lightheaded afterward but ignored it. Hours later, around 4:30 a.m., he woke unable to lift his right arm. A stroke triggered by stress, pressure shifts, and the sudden change in temperature. To support your circulation, give yourself a brief pause before bathing. Sit comfortably, breathe deeply 6 times, and allow 10 to 15 minutes for your system to settle. A few sips of water also help lower adrenaline and stabilize blood flow. If you often shower while upset, type calm in the comments. I truly want to know. And remember, stress is only one factor. Water temperature carries its own hidden risks, and that's what we'll explore next. 2. Showering with water. That's too hot before bed. The hotter the water, the more your blood vessels open, and the easier it becomes for a dangerous clot to form. Hot water feels soothing at the end of a long day, especially when your muscles ache or your joints feel stiff. But after 60, the body reacts very differently to high temperatures. Warm showers can be helpful, yet water that is truly hot creates changes inside your circulation that happen too quickly for aging vessels to manage smoothly. When the water is overly hot, your blood vessels widen all at once. This sudden dilation lowers your blood pressure and pulls blood toward the surface of your skin. For older adults, that shift means your brain may receive less oxygen for several moments, long enough to trigger lightheadedness or a faint, washed-out feeling that many seniors quietly ignore. As soon as you step out of the shower into cooler air, the opposite reaction occurs. Your vessels tighten rapidly to protect body heat. This swing from wide open to sharply constricted creates pressure turbulence, tiny changes that irritate the inner lining of your arteries. Whenever that lining becomes stressed, platelets begin to gather. And when platelets gather, clot formation becomes far more likely, especially overnight when blood naturally thickens. Before I share an example, remember this: you do not need to avoid warm showers. You simply need to avoid extreme heat. A recent case from my clinic illustrates this clearly. Mrs. Linda, age 76 from Ohio, enjoyed nightly hot showers that filled her bathroom with steam. One evening she felt briefly dizzy afterward, dismissed it, and went to bed. She suffered a stroke early the next morning. A clot formed during the temperature swings her body could no longer buffer. To stay safer, keep your shower comfortably warm rather than hot. Your skin should never turn red, and leave the door slightly open to prevent sudden temperature shocks. If this makes sense to you, tap like so I know it was helpful. Even with the right water temperature, showering immediately after dinner can also reduce blood flow to your brain, and that's what we'll explore next. 3. Showering. Right after dinner. When your stomach is pulling blood for digestion, your brain is quietly left with less oxygen than it needs. Many older adults enjoy showering after dinner because it feels efficient and relaxing. The day is winding down, the house grows quiet, and a warm shower seems like the perfect way to prepare for sleep. But the body works differently after 60, especially during the hours following a meal. Digestion demands a surprising amount of circulation, and the brain becomes more vulnerable during this time than most people realize. Right after you eat, a large portion of your blood flow shifts downward toward the stomach and intestines. This helps break down food, but it also means your brain is temporarily receiving less oxygen-rich blood. For younger adults, the body compensates quickly. For seniors, the shift is slower, and the reduction in blood flow becomes more meaningful. When you enter a warm shower immediately after dinner, your vessels widen even more. This added dilation pulls additional blood toward the skin and away from the brain. The result is a double drain: digestion pulling inward and heat pulling outward. That combination can create a low-flow state where blood becomes sluggish, making clot formation more likely during the night. Before I share the example, I want to say this gently. This isn't about fear, it's about timing and understanding how your body has changed. A recent patient brings this into focus. Mr. Mark, age 69 from Utah, showered every night right after dinner because it felt practical. One evening he felt unusually tired afterward and ignored it. He experienced a stroke before sunrise. A clot formed during the digestive and temperature-related blood shifts. To reduce this risk, wait 45 to 60 minutes after eating. A short 3 to 5 minute walk can also help stabilize circulation before bathing. If you often shower after dinner, type "dinner" in the comments so I can understand your routine. And even with perfect timing, Stepping into a cold bathroom can create its own dangerous stress, and that's what comes next. 4. Entering a bathroom that's too cold. Even a small burst of cold air can tighten your blood vessels as fast as a pulled knot. Cold air may seem harmless, especially if you grew up in a colder state or spent years tolerating drafty winters. But once you pass 60, your arteries no longer adjust as quickly as they once did. A sudden drop in temperature can create an immediate tightening of the vessels in your neck, arms, and legs, a reaction your brain feels long before you do. When you step into a cold bathroom, your blood vessels constrict to preserve body heat. This abrupt narrowing raises your blood pressure, sometimes sharply, even if you don't notice the change. Then, just moments later, the warm water from the shower forces your vessels to widen again. This back-and-forth swing, cold constriction followed by warm dilation, creates turbulence inside aging arteries. And turbulence irritates the vessel lining, encouraging platelets to gather and form the early framework of a clot. Before I describe the example, remember this. Temperature changes don't need to be extreme to create strain. Even a mild chill can trigger these reactions in older adults. A story from my clinic illustrates this clearly. Mrs. Esther, age 80 from Minnesota, often stepped into a cool bathroom because she believed it woke her up. One winter evening, after walking barefoot on a cold floor, she showered and felt slightly weak afterward. She dismissed it and went to sleep. She suffered a stroke overnight, a clot linked to sudden temperature swings her body struggled to manage. To reduce risk, warm the bathroom for 20 to 30 seconds before entering. Even a small increase in temperature helps your vessels stabilize. Wearing non-slip slippers also protects your feet from cold surfaces, reducing shock to your circulation. If your bathroom often drops below 68 degrees, comment cold, so I know your situation. And even when the temperature feels right, the way you stand under the water can strongly influence your circulation. And that's what comes next. 5. Standing too long under warm water. The longer you stand still under warm water, the more blood pools in your legs, and the easier a clot can form. Warm water feels comforting, especially at the end of the day when your muscles ache or your joints feel stiff. But for older adults, staying too long beneath that gentle stream can create a series of small changes inside your circulation that add up to significant risk. After 60, your blood vessels widen more slowly and return to normal more gradually, making the effects of heat much stronger than most people realize. When warm water keeps your vessels open for extended periods, blood begins to pool in your lower body. That means less blood returns to your heart, and less oxygen-rich blood reaches your brain. Many seniors describe this as a wave of heaviness, a slight wobble, or a moment of blurred vision, signs that the brain is getting less oxygen than it needs. At the same time, slow-moving blood becomes thicker and more likely to form clots. The longer the stagnation, the stronger the clotting tendency becomes, especially later at night when hydration drops and blood naturally concentrates. Before I share the example, I want to say this clearly. Warm water isn't the problem. Stillness is. A real case shows this well. Mrs. Catherine, age 73 from Texas, loved long, relaxing showers and often stayed under warm water for 15 minutes or more. One evening she felt slightly dizzy afterward but ignored it. She suffered a stroke early the next morning. A clot formed during prolonged pooling in her legs. To protect yourself, limit warm water exposure to 5 to 7 minutes. Gentle movement, shifting your weight or flexing your ankles, helps keep blood circulating and prevents pooling. How long do your showers usually last? And if any of the earlier habits sound familiar to you or a loved one, please share this video so it can help someone else. Even a short shower becomes risky when your neck bends at the wrong angle, and that's the danger we'll discuss next. 6. Bending your neck too far while washing your hair. Just bending your neck deeply for 10 to 15 seconds can cut blood flow to the brain by more than 50%. Most older adults wash their hair the same way they've done for decades, leaning forward, letting the water run down their scalp, and not thinking twice about it. But after 60, that simple movement becomes far more important than most people realize. The arteries supplying your brain no longer bend or stretch easily. Even a small angle can squeeze them enough to disturb circulation. When you bend your head sharply forward, the vertebral arteries in the back of your neck and the carotid arteries in the front become compressed. This compression reduces the amount of oxygen-rich blood reaching the brain. For many seniors, the early symptoms are subtle: a wave of dizziness, a moment of blurred vision, or a brief feeling of weakness. But inside the arteries, blood is slowing down, and slow blood is clottable blood. Reduced flow encourages microclots to form along the irritated vessel walls. Those clots may stay silent for hours, only to break loose during the early morning pressure rise between 2 and 6 a.m., the window when most strokes strike older adults. Before I share the real example, I want you to remember this. Protecting your neck position is one of the simplest ways to protect your brain. A case from my clinic illustrates this clearly. Mr. Walter, age 78 from Oregon, washed his hair with his head bent far forward because of chronic stiffness. One evening, he felt a sudden wave of dizziness, but continued showering. He experienced a stroke overnight, triggered by reduced blood flow and microclot formation. To reduce risk, keep your neck straight with your chin parallel to the floor. If your neck feels weak or unsteady, use a shower chair so your head stays supported and aligned. Do you wash your hair bent forward or backward? Type neck so I can understand your habits. Even with perfect posture, another danger appears in an instant: when balance slips for just 1 second. 7. Rushing, getting startled, or nearly slipping in the shower. A single near slip can send your blood pressure surging like a spark hitting dry fuel. For many older adults, the shower has slowly shifted from a place of comfort to a place of quiet caution. The fear of slipping, the worry about balance, and the awareness that your legs aren't as steady as they once were often sit in the back of your mind. And because that concern lingers, many seniors rush, trying to finish quickly before something goes wrong. Ironically, that very rush is what creates the danger. When you move too fast, lose footing for a moment, or feel a sudden jolt of fear, your body releases a spike of adrenaline. That surge raises your blood pressure instantly, sometimes dramatically, even if you don't feel the change. Younger arteries can soften this reaction, but older arteries are stiffer and less flexible. They resist the pressure instead of absorbing it, and that resistance irritates the delicate lining inside your vessels. Once the vessel lining is irritated, platelets begin to gather and adhere. These early platelet clusters may not cause symptoms immediately. Instead, they often grow silently for several hours, becoming more dangerous overnight when blood thickens and early morning pressure rises. Before I share the example, remember this. You don't need a fall for a stroke risk to start. Even a quick scare is enough. A real case highlights this clearly. Mr. Harvey, age 70 from Florida, slipped slightly while turning in the shower. He caught himself on the wall and laughed it off. Hours later, around dawn, he woke unable to move his left hand, a stroke tied to the adrenaline spike and vessel irritation from that momentary loss of balance. To stay safer, walk slowly, use grab bars, and keep a non-slip mat beneath your feet. The goal is not fear, it's stability. Have you ever had a near slip in the shower? Comment 9, so I know you've experienced this. After these 7 risks, there is one gentle nightly habit that can help protect your brain. And that's what comes next. The daily warm-up 60s routine before showering. Just 60 seconds of preparation can steady your circulation and dramatically reduce the pressure swings that happen the moment you step into the bathroom. As we age, the body becomes more sensitive to even the smallest changes in temperature, movement, and hydration. What once felt effortless in your 40s or 50s now requires a little more care. Not fear, just awareness. The warm-up 60s routine is a simple, gentle 1-minute habit that helps your heart, brain, and blood vessels adjust smoothly before you enter the shower. It takes almost no effort, requires no equipment, and can make a meaningful difference in your nightly safety. The first step is 6 slow shoulder circles. Rotate your shoulders backward 3 times, then forward 3 times. This small movement loosens the upper body muscles, stimulates blood flow through the neck and shoulders, and helps reduce stiffness around the arteries that carry blood to your brain. Many seniors tell me they feel lighter, steadier, and more aware after doing this simple motion. Next, take 6 deep, steady breaths. Breathe in gently through your nose, pause for a moment, and exhale slowly through your mouth. Deep breathing lowers adrenaline, steadies the heart rate, and calms the nervous system. When your breathing slows, your vessels relax in a smooth, controlled way, the opposite of the sudden swings caused by rushing into the shower unprepared. Then take a few sips of water, about 1/3 of a cup. Most older adults are mildly dehydrated by evening without realizing it. A small amount of water thins the blood just enough to keep it moving smoothly, lowering the chance of clotting during the warm to cold transitions in the bathroom. You don't need a full glass. Just a few gentle sips are enough to support stable circulation. Before I share a brief example, I want to remind you that routines like this are about empowerment, not restriction. One patient of mine, a 74-year-old from Colorado, adopted this 1-minute warm-up after experiencing repeated dizziness in the shower. Within a week, she reported feeling steadier, clearer, and far more confident at night, all from 60 seconds of preparation. This routine isn't complicated, and it doesn't need to be perfect. What matters is consistency. 1 minute of shoulder circles, deep breathing, and hydration helps your body enter the shower with stability rather than stress. Would you like me to create a full guided video for the warm-up 60s? Comment yes, so I know it would be helpful. Now let's bring everything together so you can apply these steps with confidence each night. Tonight, you learned how 8 simple habits, 7 risks, and 1 protective routine can quietly shape the way your brain functions while you sleep. Each habit may appear small or harmless, but together they influence blood flow, vessel stability, and the delicate balance your brain depends on through the night. Hot water, cold air, rushing, bending your neck, showering right after dinner, standing too long under warm water, or entering the shower while stressed. These everyday actions become far more significant as we age. The danger doesn't strike immediately. It waits for the early morning window when your brain is most vulnerable. Between 2 and 6 a.m., blood thickens naturally, oxygen levels shift, and clots formed earlier can finally break loose. But there is encouraging news. Your routine is powerful. With just 1 minute of preparation, a few shoulder circles, slow, deep breaths, and several sips of water, you can help your circulation stabilize before stepping into the shower. These gentle adjustments protect your brain, support your heart, and build confidence every single night. And remember what I always tell my patients: aging does not take away your ability to protect your brain. It only asks you to understand your body and make the right adjustments each evening. You are still in control. You can still shape your health with small, intentional choices. Before we finish, I'd truly love to hear from you. Share one thing you learned today and plan to apply. If this video was helpful, comment 9. If not, comment 0 so I can improve for you. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to receive more senior health life guidance.